Hi everyone, welcome back to another tutorial today. In today's video, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful dress with all the details that you can see on it. So if that's what you want to learn how to make for yourself, then keep watching this video to the very end as I give detailed explanations on how you're going to achieve this very particular dress. So like you all know, we start in this channel with our pattern drafting tutorial. So you need your basic bodice block, the front, from the shoulder to where you want the hem of your dress to stop. Okay, now this is mine. The next thing you're going to do is to get your basic sleeve, and I'm going to be cutting it with my scissors into two to separate the front from the back. This is because we are working on a kimono as the upper part of our dress, right? It has this sort of a kimono sleeve, the upper part of it, so that is why. Now I'll set the back of the sleeve aside while we work with the front part of the sleeve. I'm going to be taping it down to my basic bodice front like so. Like I said, the idea is just to get a kimono sleeve. Okay, now I'm adding fresh pattern paper to cover up for that part, just so in case I rule any line into it, it's not going to be ruining my paper, or I'm not going to be having some part of the patterns lost. So I went ahead to tape it down also. I also added fresh pattern paper because we want to extend this kimono sleeve to my underbust area, so I added the fresh pattern paper to fill up for that part of it. So I went ahead to make a curve from the underbust to meet up with the sleeve. At this point, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing, click the bell notification icon, and also do how to like this video and share it to other sewing platforms, so it can also be beneficial to other people who sew. Right, so I'm gonna have to cut out these parts. So starting from my chest line, I am going to be placing my ruler to meet my underbust, the underbust line at this point. Can you see? And then I'll go ahead to use my ruler to rule the line like so, to rule a straight line like so. So I haven't done that now. I'll go ahead with my scissors and cut this part out to separate it from the rest of the bodies. So I haven't separated it. We are going to be setting this part aside so we can just work on this particular one. I added fresh pattern paper to my front, the neckline, so I can just fill it up. Now I'm going to be ruling a line across so this returns back to basic. I'm doing this because I want to work on the neckline. So for my neckline now, I'm going in to use the depth. I'm going in by an additional 1.5 inches or 2 inches as the case may be. Then I extended the line upwards. Then I also went ahead to redraw the line. The reason for this is because I'm going to be having a new shoulder slope. Okay, that means I had an additional intake for my neck width. Okay, I had an additional intake for my neck width. Is it the width or the length? So that's why I had to add those fresh pattern paper. But I hope you guys understand. So I went ahead to cut it out now. So if you watch closely, you find out that this is where my neckline started now. So for the depth of my neckline, I'm going to be marking 2 inches. Now the reason I'm doing this is because this neckline is going to be a little bit on top of your neck. Okay, I want it to be like a sort of a high, very high canoe neckline. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit on top of my neck, and the shoulder spreads a little. Now this is what it looks like. Heading over to the rest of the lower bodies. Okay, I'm going to be back to the sleeve. I'm going to be ruling. I ruled already slash lines, so we're going to be cutting like slash and spread the sleeves to have more fullness. I just did that. I thought of it and I just did that. So I needed to show you guys so you don't think it's just the way it was initially. So from your waistline, you're going to be coming down by 3 inches. Now, having done that now, I'm going to use my scissors to separate the second part of this dress from the third part. This dress has 3 parts. The upper part of it that has the sleeve that looks like a kimono, the part of it that is the underbust corset, and the gathered part of it. So it has 3 parts in this dress. So you want to take it lightly, part 1, part 2, and part 3. Now for this part, I'm going to be dividing into 2 my bust apart measurements. I'm going to be dividing it into 2, the half of it. Half of my bust apart measurement, I'll divide it into 2. So whatever I get, I mark it. I'll also be marking the same measurement on my under bust line. Okay, I'll take it all the way up so I can get a straight line. Also for this other side, I'm also going to be doing the same thing. So I label this 1, 2, and for the other side also, I'm going to be marking that same measurement from my bust apart measurement, like so. I also take it all the way up so I can also get a straight line. Now these lines are going to serve as my boning channels. So I labeled 4, 3, and of course this part is going to be 4. Okay. I'll go ahead with my scissors and start cutting them out. So now that I'm done cutting it out, there's something I am going to be doing to these pieces, okay? If you watch closely the picture on top of the screen, you find that the gathered effect, if you pay attention to details, there is a way it is. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be cutting this like a 6 pieces top without waist seam, right? Like an 8 pieces or a 6 pieces peplum top that does not have waist seam. So this is the first thing I did. Then on a fresh pattern paper, I'm going to be spreading it out. I hope you guys get. I'm going to be spreading it out on a fresh pattern paper. So what I do first is to rule a straight line to indicate like a center. Then I pick this up and place it on that straight line. Then of course I open it up depending on how much wideness that I want. So I'm going to be opening using 2 inches. That means 1 inch on both sides. Okay. If you want to spread it out so much, you can also use more than 2 inches, but I'm using 2 inches. But please do not go overboard so it doesn't look funny. I'm using 2 inches, 1 inch on this side, 1 inch on the other side. So having done that, I'll go ahead and use my sellotape and hold them down properly so it doesn't move around. So after holding it down, I'll cut out the excess so that we can be left with what we actually need to work with. So can you see, this is what I'm going to be doing to the rest of the panels, including that of the back also. So here are the rest of the panels, and I've done just that. Remember our center front, we're cutting it as in 2 piece. We're not cutting on fold, please. Our center front, we're cutting in 2 piece. We're not cutting on fold. So this is what it looks like, okay? Now here is the second part of the upper of the dress we are making. So we head now to the third part of it, which is the final part. I'm going to be reeling a straight line from my bust band measurement all the way to the hem. So that little dart there, we'll just go ahead and close it. Then this whole part is going to open up naturally on its own. Now this is your foundation to form the gather. You're going to be ruling slash lines on this point and then spread it out on your fabric. Okay. Now heading over to the back. We're also going to get the back sleeve, and then I'll also put it in just like we did for the front. I went ahead to tape them down. Now you're going to be measuring the length from your shoulder to where your kimono sleeve started for the front. Make sure it's same length with the back. So I measured mine and the same length. I'm going to be ruling that straight line here, meaning this is where we're starting our whole kimono effect for the back. That dart that went into there, you're going to ignore it because we're going to be slashing and spreading the pattern to form gathers, so there's no need. Just ignore it. Everything we did to the front, we also do to the back. So I'm heading over to the sewing now. These are the pieces. This is actually the front pieces. Okay. They're actually in twos there. So I just want to show you guys what it looks like. They are in twos there. I'll go ahead to place them together and sew them up. So here, this is what it looks like. I've sewn them up, and this is what the inside of it looks like. The next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and get my boning. So I'm going to be sewing the boning on each of the panels, or each of the panels here. I'm going to be sewing the boning. Make sure you leave ½ inch upwards, ½ inch downwards, so you can attach your kimono and of course the gathered part of the dress. So having done that now, I'm going to be sewing the back and the front together. So this is what my front looks like. Okay. I've also marked my measurements. This is also what my back looks like. I did not attach the boning to the back. Of course, I did not attach the boning to the back, or just the front. So we'll go ahead to sew them up together from the sides. Having sewed them up together from the side, you guys, this is what it looks like. Now I'll go ahead to get my sleeve. I added the lining to the sleeve because this actual fabric is transparent. So I'm going to be sewing it up. You want to sew and stop at your side seam. You sew and stop at where your side seam started for the front, and also same thing for the back. The connecting should be at the shoulder for the sleeves. I don't know if you get. You're going to sew it up and stop at the side seam. So where you're going to connect the back and the front sleeve is at the shoulder. So I'm going to have to sew it up, and this is what it looks like. The next thing we are going to do is to take the gathered part of the dress and then sew it in. So we're going to get the gathered part of the dress. Then of course we sew it in. Can you see that effect I'm talking to you about? Okay, I actually did not add a very stiff stay. If you have a strong or stiff stay, you can add it so that part is more obvious. I didn't use anything of such, and because I can't even lay my hands on anyone at the moment, so I'm just going to be gathering this whole stuff. You want to run a gather stitch and gather it on it like the way you sew your gathers. You want to do the same thing for the front and for the back. Okay, and at the end of it, you guys, this is what we achieved. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.